Hello and welcome to A Mindful Moment. I'm Justin Epstein, author of the top-selling book Super You and minister of the Unity Center of New York City. We are continuing our series on The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and we're still in chapter 1. I want to share with you this quote on the bottom of page 22. It says, an emotion usually represents an amplified and energized thought pattern, and because of its often overpowering energetic charge, it is not easy initially to stay present enough to be able to watch it. It wants to take you over, and it usually succeeds, unless there is enough presence in you. You ever have a thought and emotion take over to where you are not able to watch it and observe it? You just get caught up in it. It's like it takes you over. Of course you have. People do it all the time, right? And it's a overpowering energetic charge, Eckhart Tolle says. In other words, he says there's not enough presence in you. We haven't developed enough ability to be able to stand back and witness the thought and emotion. Instead, we get sucked into that emotional charge, that thought emotional charge. He goes on page 22. If you are pulled into unconscious identification with the emotion through lack of presence, which is normal, in other words, you're not able to stand back and watch the thought and emotion to realize I'm not the emotion, and you don't let it suck you in. He says, if you're not able to do that, which is normal, the emotion temporarily becomes you. There's no longer me watching the emotion. It's just the emotion and me are one, right? Often a vicious circle builds between your thinking and the emotion. They feed each other. The thought pattern creates a magnified reflection of itself in the form of an emotion. And the vibrational frequency of the emotion keeps feeding the original thought pattern. So there's a vicious cycle going on. We have the emotion, it takes us over, and then we have thoughts that created the emotion, and then we have the emotion, and then the emotion feeds the original thoughts, and we think and think and think, and then that thought feeds the emotion. It's a cycle, vicious cycle. He says by dwelling mentally in the situation, event, or person that is the perceived cause of the emotion, the thought feeds energy to the emotion, which in turn energizes the thought pattern, and so on. So you ever get upset with somebody or about something, and you get upset and you're really caught up in the emotion, and then what happens is you continue to think about it. Maybe you talk to your friends, you tell your friends about it, or you think about it, and the emotion comes up, and then the thought and the emotion are now feeding each other. They're building a stronger pattern, as Tolle is talking about. They're magnetizing each other. So eventually, just the thought completely triggers the emotion, or the emotion begins to trigger the thoughts. The yogis talk about how certain thoughts tune into a vibrational frequency, kind of like listening to a radio station. When you turn on country music, what do you get? You get country music. And then you get more country music. You put on jazz, what do you get? You get jazz, and then you get more jazz. Well, if we start tuning into a thought frequency and emotion frequency of anger, guess what we get more of? We tune into more thought frequencies. Well, he's talking about how they sort of feed each other and form this vicious thought emotion pattern. So that's again, it's another look at why it's important to learn how to be present, to learn how to observe our thoughts and emotions and not get sucked into that vicious cycle. Something to think about. Well, what do we do in the meantime? Well, let's watch that cycle. Let's try to be present. Let's try to be the observer and notice when we do get pulled into that cycle. That just means we don't quite have enough presence yet. We don't quite have enough ability to be the observer, the watcher, so that we don't let ourselves get pulled in. But we can. It's possible. If it's possible for one person, it's possible for every person. So let's continue to notice these things, observe these patterns, and learn from them. So thanks for joining me today for this mindful moment. And I'll see you next time when we continue to take a look at how this mind emotion pattern works in us and how we can be free from it. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me for a mindful moment. Remember to subscribe to my channel for more mindful moments as they go live. Click above for a list of previous mindful moments to enjoy on your own time, anytime.